Welcome to another deep dive. This time, we're going to be taking excerpts from faithbook7.pdf. I think this is going to be really interesting.
It is. It's written by Shri Suresh, who's a disciple of revered Shri Raghavendra Rao Sahib.
I see.
And there's a powerful disclaimer at the beginning. It says, cleanse your manas, mind, with practice of sadhana, and then go through literature. Otherwise, reality will be lost upon you.
Whoa. Okay, so what does that even mean, cleanse your manas?
Well, it suggests that approaching these teachings with a scattered or impure mind could prevent us from grasping their true meaning.
That's deep.
It is. It definitely sets the tone for the whole book.
I can see that. So we're diving into self-discovery with a clear mind, hopefully.
Hopefully.
The text talks about the atman, our pure consciousness, and its journey to realize its oneness with Brahman, the ultimate reality, right?
That's right. And it uses this fascinating analogy. When you reach that realization, it's like the entire universe exists as a seed within your heart.
Like the potential for the whole universe is within each of us.
Exactly. It's a shift in perspective, going from feeling small and insignificant to recognizing the vastness contained within.
That's incredible. The text also uses some really vivid imagery to describe this inner world. Things like blooming lotuses, celestial beings, and bustling palaces.
Yes, it brings these kind of abstract concepts to life.
It does. And it seems to contrast with the quiet wisdom of Lord Shiva's teachings to Sage Vasishta, which are also mentioned in these excerpts.
Right. Those teachings emphasize attention and detachment. Lord Shiva is basically saying, pay attention to your inner world and don't get lost in the allure of the material world, because that's where true understanding lies.
Okay, that makes sense. So what happens if we don't pay attention? What happens if we do get caught up in the illusion of the material world?
Well, the text uses metaphors to illustrate this. It compares the material world to a mirage. It's alluring, but ultimately an illusion.
Oh, I see.
It also describes the mind as a wish-fulfilling kalpa tree that constantly sprouts new desires, keeping us entangled in this illusory world.
So our desires are actually controlling us.
In a way, yes. They keep us trapped in a cycle of seeking and never really finding true fulfillment.
So we need to break free from that cycle somehow.
Right. And ignorance is also a problem. It's described as like a vine that slowly obscures our true nature and blinds us to the reality of our connection with everything around us.
That makes sense. The text gives the example of a blind man falling into a pit because he can't see the danger.
Yeah, it's a stark reminder of how ignorance can lead us astray.
It is. So how do we escape that? How do we break free from the illusion and gain true understanding?
Well, the text mentions yoga as a path to pacifying the mind and achieving liberation.
Yoga, like the physical exercises.
It can be that, but in this context, it's more about a way of life, a path to achieving a certain state of being. And it outlines two distinct paths to liberation.
Okay, I'm listening.
One focuses on acquiring spiritual knowledge and understanding the true nature of ourselves and the supreme self. The other is about restraining the breath, also called pranayama, to control our vital energy and still the mind.
So we can either seek liberation through intellectual understanding or through a more experiential approach.
Exactly. Both are presented as valid paths. And to illustrate the power of knowledge and detachment, there's a story about a crow named Pushunda.
A crow? What's so special about a crow?
Well, imagine living for countless ages, perched atop Mount Meru, witnessing the rise and fall of civilizations.
Wow, that's a long time.
That's Pushunda's life. He's seen it all. He embodies the text's emphasis on knowledge and detachment. He's constantly learning and growing from his experiences.
That's incredible. And what does he teach?
One of the things he emphasizes is the importance of pranayama, specifically the control of inhalation, exhalation, and retention of breath.
So he's saying that by mastering our breath, we can access a deeper level of peace and wisdom.
Exactly. And in our modern world, with all its distractions and demands, pranayama can be a really powerful tool to reconnect with our inner stillness amidst the chaos.
It's like a lifeline.
It is a way to find peace in the storm.
So we've got a lot to think about here already.
We do. There's this disclaimer urging us to cleanse our minds, the idea of the atman and Brahman, the pitfalls of ignorance and desire, and then there's this crow who's lived for who knows how long, teaching us about the power of breath control.
It's a lot to take in.
It is.
Yeah.
But it's all connected, and it's all pointing us towards this idea of liberation, of realizing our true nature as pure consciousness.
And this is just the beginning. There's a lot more to explore in these excerpts.
There is. We've only just scratched the surface.
So stay tuned, because we're going to keep diving deeper into these teachings and uncovering even more wisdom in part 2 of this deep dive.
We'll see you there. It's fascinating how the text really emphasizes self-inquiry and critical thinking.
Yeah, going back to that disclaimer at the beginning, cleanse your manas.
Right, right. It almost feels like it's urging us to question everything, even our own assumptions, before we even start exploring these teachings.
Don't just blindly accept what you're reading.
Exactly. Challenge it, test it.
See if it holds up to your own experiences, right?
Yeah. And to illustrate this point, the text tells the story of King Sikhidhwaja.
Sikhidhwaja.
Yeah, he renounces his entire kingdom to seek liberation, enlightenment.
Okay, so he's giving up all his worldly possessions.
Yep, you'd think that would be a pretty clear path, right?
Yeah, seems like it would be.
But even with a huge change like that, there's still room for ego to creep back in.
Really? How so?
Well, he ends up seeking a new kind of power, a spiritual power, and he gets caught up in new desires.
I see. So it's not enough to just change your circumstances, you have to change your mindset too.
Exactly. And then there's his queen, Chudala, who also embarks on a journey of self-discovery, but she takes a totally different approach.
Oh, what does she do?
Well, instead of seeking external validation or power, she goes inward. She really dives deep into self-inquiry.
So she's contemplating the nature of reality, the illusion of the material world, stuff like that.
Exactly. She's trying to understand her true self.
She realizes that the ego is an illusion.
Right. And it's the ego that's keeping her husband trapped.
Interesting. So it's like she embodies that cleansed mind from the disclaimer.
You could say that. She sees through the illusions that are still holding her husband back.
It's a reminder that real transformation has to come from within.
Absolutely. And something else that stood out to me was the text's exploration of consciousness.
Oh, yeah, how it exists in different degrees throughout creation.
Yeah, it's not just a human thing. It's present in all living things.
So we're all connected.
Right. Not just to each other, but to the entire cosmos through this shared thread of consciousness.
Wow, that's a pretty big idea.
It is. It challenges us to rethink our place in the world.
It makes you wonder, how should we be interacting with the world around us if consciousness is everywhere?
It's a big question with no easy answers. I think it points to a deeper responsibility that we have.
Okay, there's a lot to unpack here.
Yeah.
But one of the biggest takeaways for me is that real understanding, real liberation comes from within.
Yes. It's not just about knowledge. It's about applying that knowledge to our own lives and breaking free from the illusions that bind us.
It's about realizing our true nature as pure consciousness.
Exactly. And these excerpts offer some practical guidance for getting there. Things like pranayama, meditation, self-inquiry, detachment.
Right. So we have some tools we can use.
We do. But remember that disclaimer we talked about. What if it's not just a suggestion, but like a crucial step in actually understanding these teachings?
You mean the cleanse your manas part? How could it be more than a suggestion?
What if the text is like a test? To see if we're coming to it with an open mind, a mind that's ready to receive its wisdom.
So if we're not willing to do the inner work, the teachings won't really make sense.
That's what it seems like to me. It's like saying, you have to be ready to change before these teachings can really change you.
That's an interesting way to look at it. Makes the whole thing more interactive.
It does, doesn't it? It's not just about passively reading. It's about actively engaging with the material.
And through that engagement, we might uncover truths that we wouldn't have seen otherwise.
Exactly. That's the exciting part.
It is. This whole journey of self-discovery is a continuous process of learning and growing.
Absolutely. We're always evolving, always discovering new things about ourselves and the world around us.
And this deep dive has given us so much to think about.
It has. But remember, this is just the beginning of your journey.
There's a whole world of wisdom waiting to be discovered in this book.
Keep exploring, keep questioning, keep cleansing your manas. Who knows what you might find. So as we wrap up this deep dive, what are some actionable steps our listener can take, to actually put these teachings into practice?
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, it all goes back to that cleanse the manas idea.
Right.
It sounds a little abstract, but are there any practical ways to, actually do that?
Well, let's think back to those metaphors we discussed.
Okay.
The mind as a wish-fulfilling tree, constantly sprouting new desires. What if we just, observed those desires without judging them,
So noticing them as they pop up, but not getting carried away by them.
Exactly. Just become aware of them and how they're influencing us.
That makes sense. Like taking a step back and becoming more mindful of our own thoughts.
Yeah, exactly. And from that place of awareness, we can then make conscious choices about which desires we want to act on and which ones we can just let go of.
So it's about taking control, becoming the master of our minds, not the other way around.
Exactly. And don't forget Bushunda, that crow who witnessed centuries of change.
Oh, yeah? What about him?
His focus on pranayama, controlling the breath, it suggests that mastering our breath can be a powerful tool for calming the mind and cultivating detachment.
Right, right. It's like he's saying, I've seen it all. Empires rise and fall, and the breath is the one constant. Master your breath, and you master your mind.
Yeah, and in our busy, chaotic world, pranayama can be such a valuable practice, a way to find that stillness within, even when everything around us is crazy.
It's like a superpower, almost.
It is. And as you continue exploring this book on your own, pay attention to what really resonates with you.
Yeah, what ideas stand out? What sparks your curiosity? What makes you question things?
Those are the points where the real learning happens.
This deep dive, it's not just about, summarizing a book.
No, not at all.
It's about getting you thinking, encouraging you to really engage with these ancient teachings and discover what they mean for you, for your own life.
Exactly. We've talked about the Atman, the illusion of Maya, the power of yoga, the wisdom of Bushunda.
But ultimately, it's your journey.
Keep exploring, keep questioning, keep cleansing your manas.
And who knows what truths you might uncover. This deep dive might be ending your journey is just beginning.
Keep diving deep.